Hello boys and girls, Ice Cream Gecko here, and today we're going to take a look at the Leatherman Wave. This is going to be a full walkthrough of all the tools that are on this thing, and then also at the end of the video I'll tell you what I think about it. And maybe we're going to draw some lines to the Victorinox Swiss Tool RS, my favourite multi-tool as a whole. But this one here, this is the one that gets used the most, at least when I'm outside, because this always sits at my desk. So I got this in the leather pouch. The tool is currently inside. But first of all, we're going to take a look at the box that it comes in. That's the outside of the box. Not much on there. I think it looks nice with yellow and black. I do dig that. It comes with some stickers. I've got one on my laptop right now, my ThinkPad. It also has this full-size tool user guide. It basically is a guide of all the tools that I have or had at the time. And you've got your referable numbers up there, and you can find the respective tool on the bottom then. 24mm, there we are. The tool itself comes in this plastic bag then, and that's pretty much it. There's not much inside of there. The tool itself. So, first of all, the leather pouch. Got some nylon, some stretchable nylon here. You can get this kind of bit set that you can put on. You can put in this little pouch right here, and this is the whole pouch. This is for your belt. You can put this on your belt. I mean, at some point in a man's life, you don't really care how you look like anymore, so you can do that, I guess. But being a 20-year-old guy, it's still a bit weird to have something like this on your belt. So, close up of the thing. Can we get a look inside of here? It's weird, right? Yeah, you can't really see it. Whatever. Doesn't matter too much, does it? So, this is the outside of the tool itself. I will try to give you an angle. I'll try to give every angle of the tool to you in this video, so that you can see for yourself how this thing looks like. Because, you know, the pictures on the website, the pictures on Amazon don't really show too much, and it's nice to have a video on this in somewhat decent quality. The outside right here. So first of all, of the tools, I'm saying first of all quite a lot, do I? Yeah. If you have noticed, I'm German, so English is not my first language, not even my second, not really my second, and I've never been to an English-speaking country, so I lack big time in vocabulary to use. So basically, I'm limited to the stuff that people say on YouTube all the time. Yeah. So, first blade, actually the main blade. You can see right here. A standard grind on there, quite pointy at the tip. Nothing special. Just the fact that it's being, you know, one hand opened. That's quite nice. It makes it kind of difficult to carry here in Germany, because we have a law that says you can't carry knives with one hand opening and locking blade. But since this is a multi-tool and not really, you know, only a knife, you usually get away with, you know, just a warning or just some advice from the police officer. So second blade, the Serrated Edge. I try not to use this as much, like at all. I've used this a couple of times to just cut ropes, but since I don't have the ability to really sharpen these little grooves right here, I try to keep this as a backup. Like the small blade on the Swiss Army knife, this is just a backup when you really need to cut something real fast. Got the Lansky blade make right here. You can sharpen these little serrated edges, but I try to keep them intact as long as I can. Now the saw. This saw actually is quite nice. It really works only when you pull it, when you push it. You know, the push action isn't really that big of a thing, which is not bad. It's quite good actually, because if you are, you know, pushing this thing, because this is quite slippery, not as slippery as the Swiss tool, but still quite slippery. You know, if this bites into the wood or into whatever you're cutting, and you are, you know, not really tight on your grip, and if you're not really having your fingers behind it as well to support your grip, you might slip onto the blade, and you know, saw blades hurt your fingers, believe me. Believe me on that one, they do. So this only really works when you're pulling it, which is a good thing in my opinion. It really is a big plus on this thing in terms of user friendliness. Fourth tool that is being opened from the outside is the file. You've got a little diamond tapered file, then you've got a wood file right here, and you've got your metal saw right here as well. Quite nice. You can actually use this for your fingernails. It's a bit gross, but you know, you can do it. It's like the Swiss Army knife. When you have a file on there, you can actually use it to do your fingernails, which is nice if you don't have anything else on your hand, or you know, if you're sitting somewhere, if you're sitting on the toilet and you just think, ah, well, when you're at work or at uni and you just take a look at your fingers and like, what the frick? And you have to go to kind of a examiner group or something, and you don't want people to look at your long fingernails, you can just, you know, touch it up in a few minutes. It's useful. Like, nobody talks about this, and I've never heard anyone talk about this, because maybe it's just embarrassing, but if you need to do your thing, if you need to get this fixed, it's better than nothing, right? So it's nice to have the opportunity to actually, you know, do that with this multi-tool, which is usually just for more rough of a stuff. So this is already the outside of this tool. In comparison to the Swiss tool RS, where basically every tool is accessible from the outside, aside from the pliers, it is quite nice that you can open the knife blades and you know, the second knife blade as well with just one hand. On the Swiss tool, you have to open it with two. Doing this with one hand is possible, but it's weird. And actually something that I don't like about the Swiss tool is the saw is right here. And the problem with the saw is that it's not really polished like all the other tools. Maybe you can see this right here. There's quite an edge up here, and if you're going in with your fingernail like this to pull up the knife, maybe you can see this right there. You always hit your fingernail on this. This is a big drawback of this knife, of this multi-tool, in my opinion. So basically the only one that I have with this, but yeah, it's one. You don't have that with this thing. Some people say, well, since this is a one-hand opening blade, you can actually use this for self-defense. I would disagree with this up to a point, because using this as a self-defense weapon is maybe even more dangerous than just using your fists, because if the adrenaline is pumping through your veins and through your arteries, keeping a steady grip of this thing is difficult. You are likely, and when your hands get sweaty, and you're very likely to just, you know, instead of being able to use this properly, you're probably just going to slip into the blade with your own hand, and you're probably hurting yourself more that this would actually, you know, help you in that kind of situation. So that whole self-defense debate, I don't think it's that big of a thing in a self-defense situation. I mean, it's nice, you kind of have the opportunity, but don't buy this as a self-defense weapon. Get a proper knife for that. I tried to make this like legal in my country, because I took the thumb pin out of there. It still is one hand opener. You know, we don't have that ability here in Germany, but you know, like I said, self-defense weapon, not so much. So, first tool that you see when you open this up, the pliers. The pliers are okay, although I have to say, maybe you can see this. It's quite hard to open this up, and it's not that I haven't used this ever. I've used the pliers quite often, and they are still rather tight. There's a lot of friction going on right here, which is, you know, a good thing in a way, but making this one-hand operation is kind of weird because you have to put a lot of force into opening the pliers for actually using them. Whereas on the Swiss tool, it's free spinning. I've used this a lot. So you can hear a bit of a wiggle in there, but it's so much nicer to work with this in terms of pliers. And also, if you take a look at the pliers themselves, I can't see it, right? No, you can. The pliers on this thing here, on the wave, they're a lot smaller, a lot pointier, and what that does is you can't really work with them as nicely as with those beefier ones, because you don't have as much grip on the tip of this, just because, you know, it's so narrow. That's something that I also don't like about this model at all. But then again, this is quite a bit smaller, quite a bit lighter, so that's a drawback. You know, I can live with somehow. Okay, first tool of the inside, in terms of tools, not the pliers. Take a look at the screwdriver. This is the kind of changeable screwdriver. You can get different bits with this as well. This is not held in by a magnet. Maybe you can see this. There are little grooves in there, and there's some spring action going on right here. Maybe you can see this as well. Maybe you can see this right there. And that's a little springy metal thing, and that basically bites in right here in that groove and holds it in place. Got a kind of narrow Phillips head screwdriver. Doesn't work too well either, I've got to say. The flathead one, on the other hand, is quite nice. Very useful. It's narrow enough to do, you know, more delicate tasks, but the Phillips head, not that much of use. I'm drawing lines to the Swiss tool all the time, but that's because I have these two, and I selected them carefully at the time back then. If you can see here, a flathead screwdriver, a lot more profile. You can do more with it, but still, you know, it's nice to have something on hand, even if it is quite small. Then we've got the can opener, and also the, you know, cap lifter. The cap lifter, on the other hand, this thing as a cap lifter, not so nice. You can't really get, you know, under the cap and this thing on the top. I lack the vocabulary to actually explain this, but it's, as a cap lifter, this thing doesn't work as nicely. You really have to twist it, and then you're really screwing up, you know, the blade of the can opener. Just use this as a can opener and find something else as a cap lifter. It's not really worth it. Next one, the big screwdriver, the big flathead screwdriver. Well, it works. That's all I want to say about this. Not that nice of a tool. Well, quite often it's just, you know, too wide to actually get in there, get the screw, but more for a rough task, I guess. Next up, the scissors. The scissors are okay, I give it that, although they've got less of a cutting ability as they have on the Swiss tool. You can see, if you take a look at them, they're not really comparable whatsoever. Those are just two different leagues, and the cutting ability of these is a lot nicer. These on the oh my god, on the Leatherman are of a smaller form factor, but they don't do as good of a job as they do. So another point that goes to the Swiss tool. And here the final tool, the small glasses, small screwdriver for the glasses. The Swiss tool doesn't have this, so this is a big plus on this knife, on this multi-tool. This has got a flathead screwdriver, a very small one, and a Phillips head screwdriver, also very small one. Quite useful on glasses, although I have to say, out of personal experience, I could never really use them. And I'm going to tell you why. If you take a look at these glasses here, does it focus? It kind of does, right? Not really. There you go. The screw is actually too big for this screwdriver. The screwdriver should... whatever. Okay. The screwdriver on the Leatherman Wave, the small one, actually should be a bit bigger, because you can't really work with this thing on glasses as much, because the screws for the flathead screwdriver on glasses are usually a lot wider than the actual surface of this thing is. So you basically ruin the screws on your glasses most of the time rather than actually working on them. That's something I have to complain about on this little screwdriver as well. Yeah, so this hasn't really got that much of a use for me. I'm actually planning on just, you know, sticking a pin or some needle, some thicker needle into this that really would be useful in terms of a screwdriver that I can't really use anyways. Those are all the tools on this thing already. Here we've got something to measure things in inches and in centimeters, in retarded and metric. As easy as that. Oh, the pliers, yeah, the wire cutters. The wire cutters right here, they are quite nice. I actually think that those are on this Leatherman are better than they are on the Swiss tool. And something that I kind of miss on this thing, although, you know, it's due to the form factor of this multi-tool, is the ability to change out the actual blades of the wire cutter. I think you can do it with the Leatherman Surge, so that might actually be a reason to get another Leatherman, the Leatherman Surge, to have that ability to change these things out. That would be something that I really like on my multi-tool as well. So, overall thoughts on the Leatherman Wave. I think it is a great multi-tool for the price, although it is quite pricey. But then again, it's almost half of what the Swiss Tool RS costs. So that's something to think about. The Swiss Tool RS and the Leatherman Wave, in terms of quality, they don't even play in the same league. This thing here doesn't live up to the standards of this one, not even close. Quality is really something that divides these two into separate worlds. Oh, I have to restart the video. No, great. Now I have to patch these two video files up in the video editor. Movie Maker for the win. Yeah, it's gonna be great. Not. Anyways, so like I said, two different worlds in terms of quality, but also two different worlds in terms of price. This is a lot pricier than this one. Maybe I've said this in the previous video file. I don't know. I can't review it right now. On the other hand, though, form factor wise, two different worlds as well. This one is way lighter than this one, and this one is way more practical in terms of one-handed opening. So what this whole diversion results in is me carrying this one all the time in the pouch, in my backpack, and this one staying at home. I've got a big toolbox with all the tools I need, but I don't have it at my desk. This one is basically a desk keeper for me. It is quite slippery, but also quite nice. It looks I think it looks way nicer than the Leatherman Wave. It just, fits into the urban environment a lot more. That's why I keep this, maybe in a small backpack for uni, or just at my desk all the time. It really works nice for that. And also something you can open. Wait a minute. I'm trying to quit smoking, and because of that, I use liquids for my electric cigarette. And with this here, you can actually put off the tops of these little caps. Whereas with this tool, because it is so pointy and so aggressively shaped right here, maybe on this one because this is really loose, but the thing is, maybe you can see this right here, you screw up the whole tip of these little bottles with the Leatherman Wave. And you don't do it with the Swiss tool RS. This is another reason why I keep this one at my desk. Another good reason actually for my personal use, you know, just a little anecdote on the side. So yeah, this is my daily driver, aside of my Swiss Army knife, which is in my other backpack that I usually take for uni as well. This one is my main big backpack, the Deuter Giga Office. I do like this thing, and because of this thing being cheaper, because of this thing being less refined, it actually serves the purpose of a tool a lot more. You're not as afraid to use it and to break it as you are with the Victorinox multi-tool. And also a big factor is you can actually change out the individual tools. On the Victorinox, that is not possible. Something I actually like about this. I like to disassemble things, I like to play around with things, and that's why I certainly like this tool for this factor, maybe even alone. The locking mechanism is a lot more rudimentary. Is that a word? Is that the right word for it? A lot more rudimentary than it is on the Victorinox. But then again, it might actually be more durable, or just, you know, less open to defects. You can feel it. It doesn't feel as nice. Everything scrubs on this thing, but maybe that's just the nature of a good tool anyways. I don't know. Would I recommend this though? Definitely. I think this is a great multi-tool. If you can get a good deal on it, surely go for it. I love this thing. Just like my big Victorinox, but this is one that actually comes with me all the time. So yeah, that should say enough about this tool. Even though I complain about the quality and the craftsmanship of this all the time, this is my go-to tool when I go outside. Yeah, anything else to talk about? I don't really think so. I think I've showed every angle of this thing. And the only thing left to say is let me know in the comments below if you like this video. Please rate the video as well. Leave a like if you liked it. Leave a like if you didn't. I don't really care. Just let me know if you like this video, what I can do better in the next one. And yeah, that's already it. Thank you for watching. I hope I'm going to see you next time. Maybe even in some other videos. Maybe consider a subscription if you like what you see. Yeah, goodbye.